Hi guys, and welcome back to another IBRACORP video. Thank you for tuning in with us today. We're glad to have you back. And just a big thank you to everyone who's been liking our videos and subscribing to the channel. Thanks to you, we're really close to 2,000 subs now, so that's really amazing. If you've been following our progress, I have just recently finished building a new rack server. And today we'll be using that server to publish today's video. I've had a lot of questions about this, and the community has had a lot of questions about this in terms of setting up your media automation systems and the best way to manage the storage on your server. So today I'm going to share with you what is called Hardlinks and atomic moves. Now, if you're used to your current setup, if you're a long-time user of Unraid, you've probably got shares for your downloads, movies, TVs as separate shares. And I'm one of those people, to be honest with you, up until recently. So thanks to TRaSH here, TRaSH has created this awesome guide. So full credits to him. He's given me approval to use this in the video. It basically explains how easy it is to set this up and the benefits of it. So basically at this point, using the current method of separate shares for everything, once your, say for example, your torrent application finishes downloading, it has to then copy the file, or Sonarr or Radarr for all that matter, will have to copy the file, copy and paste it into the share, and then delete the old file from where it was in your download share. Now what that's doing is using a significant amount of read and writes on your disks. And there's nothing wrong with the default way that this works per se. It's been working for me for a long time, but if you could limit the amount of read writes to your disk, why wouldn't you? To top that off, it moves very fast instead, because instead of actually moving any files, it's looking at the hard link and just saying it's basically in the same spot but a different location. Now I know that kind of is a little bit confusing, and that's why we're going to go through it today. So I've got the guide up here. I think this will make it a lot easier for people, and he's gone into a lot of detail for multiple systems too, not just Unraid. So if you're using something else, you want to go through just Docker, Synology, bare metal, it's all there as well. But today we're going to be covering it for Unraid. I'll take us over to Unraid, we'll go through it together, and I'll show you how easy it is on a fresh setup. We've got a completely fresh server now, so we can start as a complete beginner would see this and wants to automate their downloads and automate their media management. So without further ado, let's get stuck into it. Okay guys, so we've got the server up. As you can see, this is our brand new server. So that's given us a nice fresh start. I've made sure to remove all our shares. I've removed all containers, everything's gone. It's basically a brand new machine. I'll give you a quick tip. If you are building a new machine or you want it to start from scratch, Unraid has a setting here. If we go to tools and you go to new config, you can basically apply that there. Now obviously the array must be stopped to do it. And it also allows you to preserve your current assignments. So if you don't need anything, you can just say none and just click apply, and bang, you'll have a brand new fresh server ready to go. So pretty easy to do that. So like I said, here we are, it's nice and fresh. So we've got no Docker containers, we've got no virtual machines, and we've got no custom shares. So now we're gonna start following the guide, and I'm gonna walk you through it step by step. And we're gonna install the apps as we go as well. And we're gonna be using the Docker containers made by the developer Hotio, I believe that might be how you pronounce it, H-O-T-I-O. He makes some great container templates and actually develops the Docker images as well. So if you're following our video today, those are the containers we're going to use. So step number one, completely forget everything you know about suggested paths. Go fresh with me here, okay? Back up your stuff if you need to, leave it in the share and move it later. But we're going to be going fresh. So let's start with creating a share. So head over to shares, and in shares, we're going to create a share called data or data, depending on what part of the world you're in. Now, good practice here, something that I don't always practice myself, is keeping the names lowercase. Because it is Linux, we like to keep things lowercase. If you have a cache drive and you want to make use of it, go ahead and click yes. If you are new to Unraid and you are not sure how this all works, if you just click on the title there, it'll explain it all to you. But yes means that everything will be written to the cache first, and if there's space, it will then move it to the array. Under the select cache pool, if you have separate pools for your cache, then you can go ahead and click that. Enable copy on write, we're going to leave that as auto. The allocation method, we're going to set to high water or leave it as high water. That depends on what you want. You can always change these as well, guys. Again, clicking here, that will expand it for you. Minimum free space, that is a personal preference. I personally like to give a minimum free space of 50 gigabytes, so I'll put 50 GB there. Split level, that is not really needed to be changed in this scenario, so we're just going to leave it at split as any directory. Included disks if you only want certain disks to be involved, and any excluded disks as well. Pretty straightforward. So once you've set that, go ahead and click add share. Now that that share is created, we want to make sure that we can access the share, but also limit it to anyone outside of our server. So under the SMB security settings, we're going to select yes for export. And this is so that on our Windows computer that we're using, we can just use Windows Explorer. There's multiple methods. If you want to use something like Crusader as a file explorer inside the Unraid system, you can do that too. Or any other method that allows you to get to the share or get to the folder to copy and create folders and data inside of it. So export is set to yes. Case sensitive names, we're going to leave that as auto. And under security, we're just going to set that to private. So go ahead and click apply. So we've created a share, we've set the security to say, you know, we don't want just anybody to be able to get to it. And we have our admin account here, that's us. And we're going to say read write permission. That's pretty much this part done. So we'll go on to the next part, which is Windows Explorer. Okay guys, we're in Windows Explorer now, and we've basically just gone // the IP address of our server, or the host name if you want to connect that way too. And it should bring you to here. It may also prompt you to log in, and if you need to log in, it's the user that we have down here. That's the user that you'll use to log in. Once you've done that, you'll see our shares. You'll see our data share that we just created. So let's go in there. It's going to prompt us for our credentials. And we're inside the folder. So now that we're inside, we want to create some folders, and I'll show you exactly how it's going to look. So go ahead and create a new folder, and we'll call this one Torrents. Underneath Torrents, we'll create one called Usenet. Now, whether you're going to actually use Usenet or Torrents, you know, you might as well just make the folder, guys, then it's there ready for you. Then we'll create one called Media. So with those three done, we have Torrents, Usenet, Media. Go into Torrents, and underneath Torrents, create a folder called Movies. Create another folder called Music. Create another folder called TV. Head back to Data, and under Usenet, we're going to do the exact same thing. So the same three folders. So I'll skip ahead. We go back to Data, and under Media, we do the same thing again. So if we go back to Data, you should have Data, Media, Torrents, Usenet, and in each one of those folders, we've got a Music, Movies, and TV folder. Pretty straightforward so far, right? Again, we want to keep everything lowercase because it is still living on a Linux system. So let's keep it all lowercase. Now that we've created the folders, we need to add our apps. Now, if you're not familiar, the big apps that we use for your media automation are Sonarr, Radarr, Lidarr, and a torrent application. There are multiple other applications that you can use as well. Those are the main three, and those will get you started. And so we're going to be using those now today. So back in our Unraid, we haven't got any Docker apps. Like I said, we've got nothing. So we'll head over to the App Store, and let's start with our torrent application. If you've recently watched my Qubit torrent video, I like that Qubit torrent and I like how it works, so I'll probably end up just using that, to be honest. So let's go with that. As you can see, there's plenty of different options. If you want to use one with a VPN, there's one with a VPN there too. But again, we're going to be using Hotio's repository. He's got some great stuff, so let's give that a go. So go with Qubit torrent for a start, and we'll click the default release, which is by default the latest. Now that we're in the template, we'll go ahead and start filling in some stuff. Since I've changed over my server, we've lost our custom network that I like to use. So we're going to go ahead and create that now. In the top right, just click this icon here to open up the terminal. In the terminal screen, go ahead and type docker network create and the name of the network. Now that that's done, close the window, and you'll notice it doesn't show up straight away, so we actually need to refresh it. So we'll go ahead and refresh it, and there we go. We have a custom network there. So we'll select our custom network, and we'll look at the ports. Now by default, the port is 8080. This is a fresh server, like I said, so that won't be in use. If you wanted to check, just click show Docker allocations. As you can see, there's nothing there. Once you've set the port, then we want to look for the config. Now by default, it's already filled it in for us with this location for our appdata config. And we're going to go ahead and add a new path. So as you can see, we've got the path for our config. That's perfectly fine. That can be in appdata, but we don't have one to map to our data share that we just created. So go to add another path port variable, and under here go to path. You can just call this data. The container path, we're going to call this data and torrents. Now you need to understand that inside the container, this is what we'll put inside the container. On the outside of the container, it's asking what we want to map it to in our Unraid system. And here you'll see our share for data that we created, and then torrents. So under torrents, we'll just leave it exactly like that. Go ahead and click add. So now that that's done, if we just copy this, make sure you copy the /data/torrents and go to apply. Wait for that to apply, and then we'll go back into qubittorrent. So now that that's done, left click and go back to the web UI. We'll sign in. It's still the default, which is admin, and then the password admin. Alright guys, if you're like me and you had some problems logging in to the qubittorrent, the reason for me was that I was in Firefox, so I've switched over to Chrome now, and we'll continue with Chrome for the rest of the video. But if you are having problems logging in, please try switching to Chrome. So now that we've signed in, we're going to set up a couple more settings. So click the little gear icon, and in the gear icon, we need to change the save path. So in here, you've got /config/downloads. Well, we don't want that. We want to go into the specific path that we just set earlier. We'll change that to the one we just mapped it to, which is /data/torrents. If you wanted to change any other settings, you can feel free to do that. So we'll actually clear this completely and then uncheck the box. So the default save path is going to go to our torrents folder. Perfect. If there's any other torrent settings that you like to prefer, any sort of ports that you want to map, anything like that, this is the time to change it. Go ahead and change it. Scroll through each tab, make sure it suits what you like. We're happy with all this, no problems. The next thing to do under web UI, just make sure we change the default password, guys. It's not very secure. So we'll change it to something that we like a little bit more. Now, if you're like us and you like ViewTorrent, we've done a video already covering ViewTorrent. Thanks to Hotio's amazing Docker container, it's actually already installed with qubittorrent. So all we have to do is check this box and then go ahead and click save. The next thing you'll notice is ViewTorrent now kicks in and the new UI is live. So go ahead and click login, and we're in to our torrent application, and that's all working. So we don't have to do anything else. The torrent part is complete. If you're using a Usenet client, the instructions are going to be pretty similar. Again, the guide is still there and we are following the guide, but I'm just going to use torrents just to get you started. So we've done our torrent. The next thing is what's called the arrs. So the Sonarr, Radarr, and Lidarr. Sonarr allows you to get your TV shows, Radarr allows you to get movies, and Lidarr allows you to get music, or allows you to manage them, I should say. And that's what we're going to do now. Let's go ahead and go to the App Store, and we'll look for Sonarr. Under Sonarr, again, we have Hotio's repository here. Go ahead and click install, and then default. On the template, we're going to pick our same custom Docker network. We want them to all be on the same network, just so that we can make sure we keep them isolated with themselves, and that they can refer to each other with their host names rather than IP address if we wanted that. So we're happy with the default port for Sonarr, which is 8989. We've also got the app data share there. That's perfectly fine. Now we just want to do the same thing and add our data share. So go ahead and add path. Under the path, call it data. The container path, we're just going to go ahead and call it data. Under the host path, we're actually just going to go to data and leave it there. The reason for that is because the media management apps like Sonarr and Radarr, they'll need to be able to see everything. So they need to be able to see the download folder as well as the media folder and anything else, so that they can move stuff around and hard link things, which is what we're trying to achieve. So just leave it limited down to data, the actual share itself. Go ahead and click add, go ahead and click apply, and wait for that to install. That's finished, we'll click done, and then head back to Docker. Again, we're gonna flick the auto start switch to make sure that starts up if our server reboots. And then we'll left click Sonarr and go to the web UI. Once we're in the web UI, there's a couple of settings we'll now need to apply. Go ahead and go to settings. Under settings, go to media management, and we're going to add our root folder. So go ahead and click add root folder. And you can see here, we've got a couple of different options. Go ahead and click data. And then you've got your media. So media, TV, click OK. So that should be /data/media/TV. At the top, make sure you click show advanced and scroll down to where it says importing. Make sure that you've got the use hard links instead of copy option ticked. Once you've got that option checked, that's pretty much Sonarr set up for hard linking. There's a couple more things that you need to set up to be able to have a fully function media management. So we'll go to system and it'll actually tell you what we need. So it's saying we've got no download client and we've got no indexes. Let's head back to Docker real quick. Go to the App Store. And in the App Store, we're just going to search for Jackett. In Jackett, once again, we've got Hotio's repository. Click to install, default, select our custom network. We don't need to map anything else. You can just go ahead and click apply. The purpose of Jackett is to index different sites, different locations where you are trying to source your content from. So without going into too much detail, it just allows you to find the content on specific areas, and it tells things like Sonarr and Radarr where to pull them from. Head back to Docker, and now we see we've got Jackett ready to go. So left click, go to Web UI. Now everything's pretty much blank. There's a lot more to this, guys, but my main purpose of today's video is managing the hard links and atomic copies. So I'm not going to go too much detail into this, but pretty much if you go to add indexer, you'll be presented with a whole list of things that you can then select to add. So we'll just pick one just for the purpose of this. Once you've added an indexer, we'll need to put in some details into Sonarr. So go to Sonarr, go to settings, go to indexes, click on the plus, go to TORs-nav. Under the name, I like to put the name of the actual indexer that we want to use. You can enable all the settings that you want. For the URL, so copy the feed and then paste that in the URL field. For the API key, it's the one up here, and then you can go ahead and test it. Once you get your tick, you know that that's working. So go ahead and click save, and that'll be pretty much the same process for Radarr. So the next step is setting up our torrent application. So we haven't set that up yet. We'll just quickly go into download clients on the left hand side, click the plus, find the download client that you want to use. Most of them have templates, so Qubit Torrent is ours. I'll just call it Qubit. Host is the server address where Qubit Torrent is living. Then the port number, which is over here if you forgot it, 8080, and it's there by default. Username and password we'll need to complete, and the category. Now you notice the categories there, just highlight that and copy it. And inside your torrent, go to settings, go to tags and categories, and let's create two categories. The first one we're gonna call TV Sonarr, click save. The next one we're just gonna call Radarr, click save again, and then save down the bottom. Back in our settings here, that all looks good. We're happy with that. Click test. Gives us the thumbs up. Everything is looking good. Go ahead and click save, and you're done. So what have we done just there? We've set up our torrent application so that you can manage the downloading of the files. We have our indexer to find the files, and Sonarr is now set up so that it can manage all the media and your locations. So now that that's done, I'll just restart Sonarr and make sure that it picks up all the changes we've done. It's always recommended that you go through all the settings, guys, and make sure that it matches what you want. So now that that's done, let's go ahead and go and add a new series and see what that looks like. So in our case, we'll just say, so we'll type in the stand. It's found the new one, so we'll click on that. And we'll just make sure that the root folder is exactly what we want. So the root folder should show /data, media, TV, followed by the show name. That is perfect. That is exactly what we wanted. So if we go ahead and click add the stand, we've now added it. Now we didn't search for it, so we'll go ahead and click search. And as you can see, it's searching with the one indexer that we've set up. And if we get a hit, then we should see it in the torrent application next. All right, so that looks like it went through. Let's have a look in view torrent. And there you go. It started straight away, and it's managing it for us. Now, depending on what settings you set in Sonarr, you can set it to rename files or change the name of the folders that they're in, all sorts of stuff, guys. It's such a powerful application. So big credits to the developer of Sonarr, Radarr, and Lidarr. Please give them a big thumbs up as well. But as you can see, that's pretty much fired off. So we're done with that. Beautiful. Now, if you're wanting to set up Radarr and Lidarr, the process is pretty much exactly the same, guys. So just go ahead and repeat the process that we did with Sonarr and just allow it to link up to our already existing Jackett, torrent, everything like that. Each thing is pretty much the same, except with Radarr, instead of going to our media TV in the root folder. So if I just go to that again real quick. So for the root folder, in Radarr, instead of going to TV, you would go to the movies one. So data, media, movies, and done. So while we're waiting for a download to finish, we'll go on to the last final step, which is setting up your media player. So we've set up how to get the media, set up how to manage the media, and now we want to be able to actually watch the media. So depending on your preferences, you might want to use Plex, you might want to use MB, Jellyfin, Bazaar, whatever. Whatever your client is, we're just going to show you how to set up the template so that you can have the whole atomic linking set up. So go back to the App Store and let's search for Plex. Plex comes up. We're going to stick with our main man hotio on this one and click install. Default again. Underneath here, we'll set it to IBRACORP once again. For our transcode, we like to keep things on the cache. So in that case, we'll actually go Plex/transcode and get it to create a folder for us there. Underneath the Plex claim, we're just gonna skip that. Go ahead and click add another path. And in the path, give it data once again. In the container path, we'll go /data/media. And in the host path, we want to go to our data share, then into media. Because obviously you want Plex to be able to read all these folders underneath. So we'll allow it to see the top level folder and then click add. Once that's done, go ahead and click apply. While that's installing, we'll head back to view torrent, and you can see that we've got a torrent that's finished here and it's set to seeding. If we go to the open settings, under the BitTorrent settings, set it to the ratio that you like for how long you want it to seed for. If you're in a situation where you don't have a lot of bandwidth, guys, it might not be easy for you to share it. You might want to set it to a really short period. In this case, you can just set it to -1 or 0. In other cases, you might have plenty of bandwidth and you want to share and give back to the community. Please leave it for longer. It really depends on you personally. So once you've done that, go ahead and click save. As you can see, it's set it to done. Now, once this is done, you'll notice that the torrent sort of just sits there. The reason why is if we go back to Sonarr, go to settings, go to download clients, you can see here completed download handling. So we can say remove the downloads from download client history and click save change. So then when Sonarr's done with it, it can just get rid of the torrent from the application for us. I believe since this one was done already prior to us knowing, we're just going to go ahead and click delete. But the future ones, Sonarr should automatically kick them off for us. But as you can see, we've got our file here and it's all set up, ready to go. So we've gone back to the container, guys, for Plex, and in here it says visit Plex/claim to get the claim code. So we've put that in, and now that we've signed in, it already created a code for us. So copy that to the clipboard, head back to your template and put the claim code in here. Once you've put it in, go ahead and click apply and just wait for that to process. Once it's done, launch it up again. So now that we've set that, we can actually get started with setting it up. So go ahead and click got it. And if you want a Plex pass, you can look at that. We're not going to worry about it. Give your server a friendly name. We'll just call this IBRACORP for today. Allow me to access outside the home. Sure, no worries. Now it's going to ask you to add your library. So the most important part, obviously. So go ahead and click add library. And you know what? We're going to add TV shows. Go next. And then it's going to ask you for your media folder. So if you click browse, you'll notice that we've already mapped it, remember, under media. So under media, TV, click add. And then if you want any other further settings, you can change that. Otherwise, click add library. We'll do the same for our movies. So go to movies, next, browse for the folder, media, movies, add. And one last time for music. So we go music, next, browse for the media, media, music, add library. Go ahead and click next and then click done. If you don't know this, with Plex, they actually do host their own stuff that you can watch for free with some ads, of course. But if you just want to see your own stuff, go to the more tab and unpin all this stuff here if it doesn't interest you. If it does interest you, you can keep it. Otherwise, just unpin it. Go back. And now we can see only the stuff that we've got. And as you can see, it's picked up our TV show straight off our media file. So we've set up the full link. We've set up how to find the media, how to manage the media, how to download the media, and how to watch or consume the media. That is now completely automated. So anytime you want to add something new, let's say you did the same with Radarr, you would just search for it and click add. The next level above that is something like Ombi. If you don't know what Ombi is, it is a request service that allows you to put in requests for stuff or have other people request for stuff. And I can cover that in a future video if people are interested. But that's pretty much the basics to get you going and to help you automate your home media. And if we go back to our disks, guys, I mean, look, the server's not even sweating. Honestly, there's nothing going on with the disk. Let's go to main. We'll switch the tab here. You can see there's barely any disk read writing happening at all. And it was almost instantaneous, to be honest. So if you're interested and that's something you want to do, I highly recommend checking out the guide. Again, the guide is by TRaSH and the link will be down in the description. So big shout out to him for his work on this. I think it's a complete game changer. I think people won't turn back once you switch to this method, and your hard drives will be seriously thanking you for this. So big pat on the back to everyone involved, and a big thanks to the Unraid community. We love you all. Thanks for staying with us at IBRACORP, and we'll see you in the next IBRACORP video.